Jim Jordan, congresista republicano por Ohio, quedó completamente acorralado al defender a un colega acusado de graves abusos y contradecirse ante las cámaras. Quédense hasta el final porque la entrevista terminó en una humillación completamente vergonzosa. Y rápidamente, suscríbete al canal para estar siempre informado de lo que está pasando realmente en Estados Unidos. Comencemos. Jim Jordan, quien es una de las peores personas en el Congreso, acaba de dar, el espectáculo más humillante que he visto en la televisión. Estoy hablando de tropezar, balbucear, murmurar, completamente incapaz de hablar, acorralado en un rincón creado por el mismo Jim Jordan. Y tenemos que decir las cosas como son. Es un hipócrita, es un mentiroso sin vergüenza, es un individuo desagradable, y todo esto quedó descubierto cuando le preguntaron sobre su colega republicano Max Miller, quien debería de estar en la cárcel. Quiero que vean este segmento completo. Fue un desmantelamiento magistral de este hombre que no pudo responder por sí mismo ni por otros republicanos y merece toda la atención del mundo. Miren, por favor.
Chairman, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it.
You bet, Casey.
The president has said that he would consider postponing Blanche's nomination until after John Cornyn and Thom Tillis leave the Senate. That, of course, would be in the new Congress. Do you think that would be advisable for the president to do?
Well, I'm for whatever gets Todd Blanche confirmed. If that's what the president thinks is required, then that's great in my mind. Todd Blanche has done an excellent job. Crimes down, homicides down. This anti-fraud task force they've set up, Colin McDonald running that, indicting people who are, taking and ripping off taxpayers. So I think Todd's done an outstanding job. I hope he's confirmed, and I don't understand why Senator Tillis and Senator Cornyn haven't done that yet.
Well, it seems to be pretty clear that they want assurances that the anti-weaponization fund will not move forward, and that they have issues with the agreement that the Justice Department made to make sure that the Trumps are not audited by the IRS. Are you supportive of that settlement?
Well, Todd said it's dead. I think he said that multiple times. So I don't know what is going on in these negotiations. The guy who's going to be, hopefully, the next Attorney General has said this thing is finished.
Yeah, but
so
he
I don't
put it in
understand
writing.
why they're
why
holding
won't he put
it
it in
up.
writing?
Well, if that's the agreement, then I don't know that he hasn't done that. All we know is what
he told Congress that he wouldn't.
And Senator
He told
Tillis
a House committee that he wouldn't put it in writing.
Well, but I mean, he's the Attorney General. He's the acting Attorney General. He said it's dead. They're not going to do it. I don't know what else it takes.
Well, you're a lawyer.
I don't know that
Would you
require other
actually
people
not?
running for office.
I mean, don't you tell any clients you've ever had, get it in writing? Isn't that like, I don't know, legal 101? I'm not a lawyer, full disclosure.
I'm not a lawyer either. I went to law school, graduated, didn't take the bar exam, so I don't know. But what I do know is Todd Blanche is a man of his word. He said that he is not going to. Well, you can get it in writing. I don't know that matter. And maybe that's part of the agreement. I don't know what's being negotiated now, Casey. What I do know is Senator Cornyn and Senator Tillis voted to confirm Merrick Garland, and they won't vote to confirm a guy who's doing a great job running the Justice Department? I don't get it. I do not. Garland was the guy who did the memorandum saying, oh, we're going to spy on moms and dads at school board meeting. Garland's Justice Department were the ones who did the memorandum and said if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. And they confirmed him, but won't vote for Todd Blanche?
Well, I think the issue is partly that they want to use taxpayer money to pay people who hurt cops on January 6th.
No. The weaponization fund is set up to help people like Mark Houck, where the Garland FBI kicked in his door pre-dawn raid when his lawyer said he's happy to turn himself in.
There certainly may be others, but it also includes those January 6 people that are law enforcement.
It's for people like that. And the board, remember how this was set up? The board evaluates that. So,
but they wouldn't rule out that it could go to people who beat cops on January 6th. They refused to rule it out. The officials did. The vice president refused to rule it out.
FBI whistleblowers that came forward that they wanted to retaliate, that they retaliated against. Those are the people it was designed to help. And oh, by the way, this same fund paid Peter Strzok $1.2 million, paid Lisa Page $800,000. So you got to be kidding me. Mark Houck doesn't qualify, but somehow they do?
This anti-weaponization fund has not yet been set up.
That's what the press has all got wrong about this.
But let's move on here. I want to ask you about what we saw from Anthony Fauci, who may be the subject of a contempt vote in Congress after he pled the fifth repeatedly in his hearing. worth noting, you ignored a subpoena in 2022. Do you think that Fauci should be held in contempt for what we saw from him?
Over that period.
Well, we're going back and look at the transcript, look what he said. What I do know is everything he told us turned out to be false. And now that we have his diary, we learned he was more arrogant than we even thought he was. And he knew at the time things he was telling the American people were not accurate. Never forget, Casey, this guy, think about this. He told us it didn't come from a lab when it did. He told us it wasn't gain of function done at the lab when it was. He told us it wasn't our tax money used to finance the research done at that lab in China when in fact it was. He said the vaccinated couldn't get it. That was wrong. The vaccinated couldn't transmit it. That was wrong. He told us masks worked. That was wrong. He told us 6 feet social distancing was based on science. That was wrong. And he told us this virus, there was no natural immunity. He was 0 for 8. And he was also the most arrogant individual you've ever seen, and that was confirmed by his diary. And he knew at the time those things he was telling us was not accurate, and somehow that's okay. I mean,
I didn't say that. I was asking
frankly,
if you
if I
think he
was
should
him,
be
I'd
held
have
in
taken the
contempt.
fifth too.
I was asking if you think he should be held in contempt.
We're going back and looking at all the transcripts and seeing what he said. We're going to evaluate all that. I know Senator Paul is looking at that as well. We will see.
All right. I also want to ask you about something a little closer to home. There is a colleague of yours in the Ohio delegation, Max Miller, who is facing allegations of abuse from an ex-wife of the wife and his then toddler daughter. Do you think that Max Miller, who denies this abuse, should he resign from Congress in light of the accusations?
Look, this is a family matter. I know Max is a good man. I was up campaigning for him. I hope he wins re-election. He's done a good job as a member of Congress, and we should all pray for his family. These are difficult times that they're going through. We understand that. These kind of situations always are. But Max is a good member and a colleague, and hopefully he's going to win re-election. But ultimately, in the end, that's up to the voters in his district. But yeah, we were up helping Max just a few weeks ago at a campaign event up in his district in the northern part of our state.
So, I mean, it's just worth noting, I mean, the allegations include that Miller scalded his ex-wife's chest and stomach when he threw hot water at her, that he held a gun to her head, that he pushed her against a wall and hit her in the head, that he fractured their daughter's collarbone and bruised her shoulder, that his 2-year-old daughter reportedly told his ex-wife, quote, "Daddy,
Casey,
kill you." I want to play for you what you said when you were asked about Graham Plattner, who faced allegations of abuse. Let's watch what you told.
Yeah, I've not heard all this stuff.
Well, it was in the New York Times. It was in the New York Times. That's the list of allegations. It's been out there for a while.
I've not read it.
I just want to show you what you told Newsmax when you saw that Graham Plattner was facing these accusations. Watch.
That's always been the case with Democrats. It's all about maintaining power. They will take any crazy position as long as it furthers their ability to win elections and get power, and frankly, to go against anyone who goes against President Trump.
Why does that not apply here to Republicans who want to keep power in the seat?
Well, I don't know the context of the question I was asked about Mr. Plattner, but my guess it was about all the ridiculous positions he's taken.
The banner there says Plattner's ex-girlfriend accuses him of abuse.
The Nazi tattoo and everything else. Yeah, well, I don't know. I didn't answer. I don't know that I answered that question. I think I was dealing with just who he was as a candidate and the crazy anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, pro-Nazi positions that he has taken. I think is evidenced by the fact that he had a Nazi tattoo on his chest.
All right, Congressman Jim Jordan, thanks for spending some time with us.
And frankly, it wasn't me that kicked him off the ballot. It was the Democrats.
All right, fair enough, sir. Thank you.
Jim Jordan es una absoluta basura y no creo que nadie deba de esperar nada diferente cuando se trata de encubrir delitos sexuales. Ese es el pasatiempo favorito de Jim Jordan. Lo hizo en Ohio State, parece estar haciéndolo no solo en el Congreso, sino en la Cámara Electoral para Max Miller y para el presidente de los Estados Unidos. Ha sido un fallo completo de los medios de comunicación, no para decir que las acusaciones contra Graham Plattner no fueran importantes. Obviamente lo eran y las condenamos rotundamente en este programa, pero el hecho de que esto haya recibido atención día tras día y semanas tras semana, en comparación con las 0 horas de cobertura que ha recibido Max Miller de los medios principales, simplemente deja perplejo a cualquiera. Esta no es una historia nueva. Hemos estado hablando de esto durante meses y ¿quieres saber qué es más ridículo incluso que esto? Que Bernie Moreno, quien es padre de la esposa de Max Miller, la cual se ha divorciado de él y ha solicitado una orden de restricción, no ha condenado ni una sola vez a su colega republicano. ¿Por qué? porque pertenece a un gran club de criminales. Eso es lo que es el Partido Republicano y ¿saben qué? No pueden responder por ello, razón por la cual se asegurarán de que los medios no te pregunten si los medios lo hacen. Ahí se va tu acceso al gran club. Así que dejen de preocuparse por esto, solo hagan las preguntas y responsabilicen a estas personas que podrían dar lugar a que pierdan sus empleos y su acceso al poder en lugar de ustedes. Pero si tienen miedo, si están en las sombras, si se niegan a discutirlo, nada va a cambiar, nada en absoluto. Pero hay alguna sorpresa de que el partido que está liderado por un literal criminal que está encubriendo los archivos, que está en los archivos. A estas alturas solo deberíamos llamarlos los archivos de Trump. Es alguna sorpresa que estas personas estén felices de defender a Max Miller, felices de defender a cualquier otro colega desagradable que haya cometido delitos. Por supuesto que no. Y cuando le preguntas a Mike Johnson, ¿qué diría? No he visto eso. Lo he comprobado, no tuve tiempo. Supongo que no me habrá llegado a mi escritorio. Se me pasó, dicen, no voy a investigarlo, no me importa. Porque a esta gente realmente no le interesa, no le importa. Hay un problema de prepotencia y privilegios en Washington, D.C. y es generalizado, está en ambos partidos. Y por cierto, no soy un tipo de ambos lados, pero hay un problema cuando tenemos demócratas que piensan que pueden aceptar contribuciones de campañas ilimitadas, especialmente de las mismas personas que financian las campañas republicanas y no ser cuestionados por ello. Las personas que dicen, cuando queremos un partido demócrata mejor, que odiamos a los partidos demócratas o que estamos destruyendo al partido demócrata o que estamos despedazando al partido demócrata, esto no es cierto. Como dijo el alcalde Soro Mandani, ¿quién es el partido demócrata sin sus votantes? No su liderazgo, no sus donantes, no sus grandes donantes, quiero decir, no. Son las personas que votan por el Partido Demócrata y deberían de tener voz sobre cómo se dirige su Partido Demócrata y la tienen. Ellos echan a las alimañas, echan a los criminales, no les permiten ascender al liderazgo o al Congreso y cuando descubren que han cometido delitos, lo condenan con razón y rápidamente. Esto no es lo que sucede en el Partido Republicano y deberíamos asegurarnos de que los medios rindan cuentas por no comunicar esto, por no dejarlo claro. ¿Cuántos escándalos hemos visto con Donald Trump de los que todo el mundo simplemente ha pasado a la página? Hace unos días escuché una conversación de Mike Niles y él estaba como que sacando a relucir a Brett Kavanaugh. Y no es ese escándalo. Estaban sacando a relucir el hecho de que a Brett Kavanaugh se le pagó una gran parte de toda su deuda de tarjeta de crédito y no estoy hablando de un par de miles de dólares, estoy hablando de dinero grande y aún así hemos pasado a la página. La Corte Suprema más corrupta de la historia y recibe casi cero atención a menos que Donald Trump esté tuiteando al respecto. Y esto no es un fallo de nuestros medios. Sé que hay muchos escándalos, pero tal vez sea porque no lo cubrimos lo suficientemente bien y este es un gran ejemplo. Esto no debería de costarle a este tipo de escaño en el futuro durante la campaña electoral. Debería de costarle su escaño ahora mismo, ya que debería de haber republicanos dispuestos a hablar en contra de esto. Debería de haberlos, y especialmente Mike Johnson, pero sabemos que Mike Johnson no lo hará. ¿Qué tiene de valores familiares que tu esposa, tenga una orden de restricción que supuestamente le haya fracturado la clavícula a tu hija y que tu suegro, Bernie Moreno, el senador, no diga nada al respecto? ¿Estos son valores familiares? Pregunto yo. ¿Estos son los valores de las familias republicanas? Me alegro de que hayamos visto a Jim Jordan y a todas estas personas que se han mezclado en una sola porque son terribles. Pero que Jim Jordan se ha cuestionado de esta manera, esto fue, un gran trabajo. Fue periodismo absolutamente del que necesitamos. Y necesitamos seguir hablando de esto, amigos. Y créanme que en este canal lo vamos a hacer sin falta. Pero por ahora llegamos al final de este video, espero que les haya gustado, si fue así déjenmelo saber en los comentarios y recuerden que si les gusta el contenido de política estadounidense les va a encantar suscribirse a este canal ya que subimos videos de política estadounidense todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, yo soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarlos diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.